Hi, I'm Dan Schinder,
And I'm Steven Schinder.
and we are happy to round out 2021 with a holiday episode, right, Steve?
Yeah, and just off the top, we know that the theme of this episode is Christmas solo albums, but we know not everyone celebrates Christmas. It's just that certain Yes members have put out Christmas themed solo albums, and even if you don't celebrate, people get festive around this time of year, and
Hopefully more kind-hearted.
Yeah, and I mean, across different cultures, there's that common theme of, togetherness, being with the warmth and comfort of, being with family or just talking to family. It's like that end of the year warm feeling thing, for lack of a better description.
No, absolutely. And, so let's start with that, actually.
Okay.
Where are the Yes Hanukkah songs? Like, Trevor Rabin is of Jewish heritage. His last name is actually Rabinowitz. I think Igor Gorbachev might be. I'm not sure. I know that Billy Sherwood is half Jewish. I'm Jewish. You're half Jewish. Where's the dreidel, made of adequate. Oh, am I alone here? Anyways, it is very much so a happy and festive time. And you know what's interesting, Steve, is that most people associate this time of year with winter. But I was in Australia, as you might remember, during this time, about 11 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, and it's summer there.
Yeah.
And the Australian culture and the American culture, and I'd say Canadian, is completely different. I think North American culture is much more over commercialized. And in Australia, like for Halloween, like there were no decorations.
Right.
No one dressed up for work. It was like, yeah, it's Halloween. It's October 31st more than it was Halloween. And even on Christmas. So let me think, where was I living? Okay, so I was in Brisbane at that time. I think I saw 4 homes with festive lights. It's a whole different thing. Yeah. And I think we all need to kind of be sensitive to that, these differences. But like Steve said, this is the time of year where no matter what you celebrate or don't celebrate, it's hopefully a time of togetherness and wholeheartedness and kindness. And there's certainly, more than I ever imagined when Steve put together the notes for this show, and how much Christmas related music there is. So where do you want to start?
Well, first, off the top, I agree with all of that, but I kind of just want to throw in a tangential question. So people love to debate whether Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and I personally do not care about that debate, but I'll just throw another one in there. This is such a stupid question. Is Yes Songs a Christmas movie? I mean,
because of when it came out, it seems like everything that comes out in December.
When it was filmed, it was almost Christmas, 1972. I think Rick even played Jingle Bells, so
I'm going to say that it is. You know why?
Why?
Because no matter what you believe, Yes Songs is holy. And this is a holy time of year.
Right. So we've got 4.
Wait, and the members of the band, you got Steve Howard-Claus, Alan White-Claus, Jan Anderson, right? I mean,
sure, why not?
Okay.
So we're talking about 4 Christmas themed solo albums here. Rick Wakeman put out 2 of them. He put out Christmas Variations and Christmas Portraits in 2000 and 2019 respectively.
And I never heard this until you sent it to me. And I can't wait to dig into this. I have lots of thoughts.
Yeah, and I think the one that you and I are most familiar with is 3 Ships by Jon Anderson, which came out in 85.
I have it on vinyl.
Yeah, and in 2007, Chris Squire put out Swiss Choir, which I'm
Great
more familiar.
name.
Yeah, I'm more familiar with that one than with Rick Wakeman ones, but yeah. So, was there any particular album you want to start with, or
Yeah, I want to start with Rick's, and I
okay,
also in particular. So before I tell you what song in particular, I want to give a disclaimer for everybody. And this is
right?
not because I'm Jewish. It's not, it's not, it's not. But I've never, I shouldn't say never, but for the last 50 years, I've not been a huge Christmas songs kind of person. It's like you go out anywhere in public and you go to a bar, you go to a restaurant, you go to a mall, you go to any retail store, you're stopped at a spot at a stoplight, and everything's playing Christmas music. It's like it's a small world and all good people all year round, right? It's like, and it kind of waters it down, if you will. So having said that, I want you all to know that what I appreciate says a lot. And one of my few Christmas related songs that I truly appreciate is God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. And I, of course, heard that from Jethro Tull years and years and years ago. And that was the first song I went to when I saw the playlist for this album by Rick. And it's beautiful. Everything on this album is absolutely beautiful. And Rick, being a devout Christian his whole life, as you may know, Steve, and
Yeah.
listeners, viewers, innocent and not so innocent bystanders, that's one of the reasons he left Yes the first time after Tales from Topographic Oceans, which was more, well, let's just say it wasn't Christian, and it went against Rick's beliefs and sensibilities. But this album is beautiful from top to bottom. And God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen is the first one I went to. Old Little Town Bethlehem, The Holy and the Ivy, Mary's Boy Child, Silent Night. I said this on our previous episode. There's nothing Rick could do that I would just give him an automatic pass, but there's nothing he would do that I wouldn't be interested in. This is a truly beautiful album. If this guy came out of nowhere from left field, never heard of him, never played in Yes, never played with David Bowie, never did any of the things he did, and this was his first thing, this is brilliant. It really is. It's beautiful. It really is.
Yeah, I think with Christmas music, I tend to think there's like two major subcategories. Like there's the traditional kind of that, people sing in church or when they go caroling.
And then King Crimson.
Well, the other one I was gonna say is like the more commercial stuff that you hear on the radio, kind of like, it's sort of like metaphorically, it's like candy store type of
Right.
material, I guess.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and Rick definitely gravitates more toward the traditional stuff. For Christmas variations, I'll just read the track list real quick. So we
Yeah.
got Silent Night, Hark the Heralds, Angels Sing, Christians Awake, Salute the Happy Morn, Away in a Manger, While Shepherds Watched Their Flocks by Night, O Little Town of Bethlehem, It Came Upon a Midnight Clear, Once in a Royal David City, O come, all ye faithful, Angels from the Realms of Glory. And apparently there were a couple bonus tracks which appeared on a recent re-release from like last year, Silent Prayer and Amazing Grace. And I think Silent Prayer sounds pretty different from the rest of these. It's more enigmatic and mysterious, whereas Amazing Grace feels more like it's in line with the rest of the stuff on here.
And you know
Uh,
what? You mentioned Amazing Grace, and Chris Squire worked that into his solo
yeah.
with the Fish on the Tormato tour. I remember that where he integrated, he interfaced his Taurus pedals with his bass, Rickenbacker, and it was beautiful. It was truly majestic. I forgot about that till you just mentioned this.
Yeah. And the production sound in some places, it kind of feels like there's like some background air type of stuff that I kind of wish wasn't there. I don't know if it's just me. But
Hmm.
like compared to the later album Piano Portraits. Like I feel like, or not Piano Portraits, Christmas Portraits, which is like a follow-up to Piano Portraits. I feel like I prefer the production on that particular album, but like the huge difference between these two is I think on Variations you hear more synth stuff, whereas
Yeah,
Chris's Portraits is pretty much just
grand
piano.
piano.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um
which I like. I like that it's more traditionally organic like that.
yeah, like Rick is definitely he tries to do the traditional stuff, but it also feels very him.
Hmm.
Um yeah, it's like I feel like both of these are equal parts traditional Christmas album and Rick Wakeman's solo album, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, so yeah, Christmas Variations, it's got some neat sounds. I'm not sure if I have a favorite track off of this. Well, it might just be Silent Prayer because it sounds so different. But
Hmm.
did you have anything else to say about Variations before we go into Portraits?
No, other than I agree with you that it's very him in a lot of ways, and he's one of those rare people that could play solo on a grand piano and sound like a complete ensemble or orchestra. It's just beautiful.
Yeah. So for Christmas Portraits, I feel like I prefer this one overall because it feels more intimate. Um
Hmm.
and it also gives me nostalgia for when I saw his Piano Portraits tour, and so it's kind of feels like being there, at least when I listen to it. So this has several of the same songs, but I'll read the track list real quick again. The First Noel, In the Bleak Midwinter slash Goose. Oh, sorry. I guess Gustav Holst was a writer on that.
Right.
Um, Deck the Halls with Boughs of Holly slash Away in a Manger. The Holly and the Ivy slash Mary's Boy Child. Silent Night. God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen slash Angels from the Realms of Glory. O come all ye faithful slash hark the herald angels sing slash see amid the winter snow. O little town of Bethlehem, I saw three ships slash when a child is born. O holy night, the Coventry carol slash O come Emmanuel. A winter's tale, we three kings, and Sussex carol slash it came upon a midnight clear. And there's also a Japanese bonus track called Joy to the World. So,
Well, and number 16, Smoke on the Water live.
so as listeners can tell from like all the slashes, like some of these tracks are kind of like little medleys. So
Right.
while he does do several of the same songs that he included on Variations, it's done like on piano, obviously, and he kind of mixes it up a bit. Like it's not all the same length, and sometimes they come before or after a different piece. So it's like with both albums, you get some of the same experience, but not all of the same experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um, and
absolutely.
yeah, and I guess I should explain that I'm familiar with some of these songs already, like very intimately, because because of my mom's side of the family, being a churchgoer, I was part of youth choir during my some of my teen years, and so I was like, we sang a few of the songs that are on some of these track lists around Christmas, and so like some of them really resonate with me, like just for that nostalgia and being with friends and stuff. Um,
Smoking pot behind church. Just kidding. Just
yeah,
kidding, folks.
no, that never happened.
Steven's never done that.
Right. Um, so I'm not sure if I have a favorite track on this one either. They kind of all feel like one thing to me, and that's not a knock on it. It's just that
Right. It's
it
themed really well, is how I would put it. I agree with you. It does sound like one, like it's like a movie. How can you pick your favorite part of a movie? It's the whole story.
yeah, I guess for me it's weird because it's easy for me to pick a favorite track off an album that has vocals on it. But when it comes to film soundtracks or scores where it's all instrumental, it's easy for me to pick a favorite track on those, but here it's like I don't know how, like I don't know
That's
why.
interesting.
Yeah, so and I also really love the covers for both of these. Like Christmas Variations has had a few different covers over the years, it seems.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I
Like,
don't
I
know,
didn't know
like
you could do that.
I don't know, maybe it's so that it looks nicer like when it's re-released later on. Like the most recent one that came out in 2020 is probably my favorite of the covers. It's got like an icy looking aesthetic.
So
And
I'm
oh,
sorry, if that's a
go ahead.
possibility, why can't Yes consider the original painting that Roger Dean did for Going for the One, as well as what he submitted for magnification that was never sent to them? Not by his fault, but management.
Yeah, I don't
If
know.
you could do that, let's theme their whole catalog Roger Dean. I'm sorry, going off on a tangent. Merry Christmas, Roger.
I mean, at the very least, what they could do is for like future re-releases, they could include like an extra page in the little booklet, like that has like the Roger Dean cover, and so people can choose like which cover artwork they want to
And
display.
yeah, and this exactly, and the story behind that too, which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
But sorry, I didn't mean to like derail us and go over there.
All right. So, did you have anything else to say about Christmas portraits?
No, I agree with you. It's great. And
Yeah,
it is definitely different, even though a lot of the tracks are the same.
yeah, and it's got a nice like Christmas tree on the cover. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Um, all right. So, which one did you want to go to next?
Let's since this has been done by two Yes members, well, three, I guess. Let's go with Oliver Wakeman, with John Payne and Rodney Matthews with I Saw Three Ships.
Oh yeah, I put that on the dock as well.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, with Rick, I guess this is like good for like comparing with the others. So like Rick's very faithful to the traditional version,
right.
whereas the one that Oliver did with John Payne and Rodney Matthews, it's really rocking and has bagpipes and stuff, and it's like so different. It's yeah, it's
Ah,
amazing.
bagpipes.
Yeah.
You know, if someone pulls out bagpipes or puts them on the list of instrumentation that they want for something, you know they're serious about getting something done. I'm not saying it's good or
Right.
bad, but they're serious about it. Get the bagpipes, kazoo, paper and comb, and blade of grass. Meet me over here.
Well, it's quite a combination.
You lose a filling.
Right. So, did you have anything else to say about that version of the
I
song?
love it, being that it is such a different interpretation. And Oliver Wakeman being, well, how old is he? Do you know? Do you remember?
He's gonna be 50 this coming year.
So he's not exactly, he's a half a generation younger than I am. So having that sort of age brought in to the fold of Yes members that have done some Christmas stuff and having his own take on it, I think that's really cool. I like that. Like, why do the same thing over and over and over again? We don't need that. So I admire it very much. It's adventurous, right?
Right. Yeah. I do here. I do like hearing how other people sound playing a cover of something, but I also appreciate when they get more adventurous and rearrange the stuff and
Yeah.
show what else it can be. Like, for example, I've heard a few different versions of Running Up That Hill by like I think Kate Bush was the original artist for that, but there's like a version by Placebo that's very like it's darker and more mysterious, and there's one by Chromatics that is like its own vibe, and it's like yeah, like I like when people make different versions of them, like reinterpretations.
Yeah. And if you look at what Adele did with Sound Chaser, yeah, that's a great example.
Wait, what?
What? No, those are great examples. You're right. Let's go on to one of my favorites. And I love the name. I mean, just the name, Chris Squire's Swiss Choir. You know, he
Yeah.
grew up a choir boy, great singer. We've talked about that over and over and over, whether he's singing lead on a rare occasion, one song, an album here and there, or whether he's the root of that lush background vocal, the timbre of his voice, even the enunciation and pronunciation of the words. Just a wonderful singer. And for him to do this album, it's almost like it had to be a must, you know, given his pedigree and everything. Another I Saw Three Ships version, which is great. And the Three Kings I love, as well as Sussex Choral. Chorale is great. Is it choral or chorale? It's choral in this case, the way it's spelled. Carol. I had a babysitter named, oh, just kidding.
Right, so the track list is Adam Lay E. Bounden. I may have mispronounced that just now.
Bounden, yeah.
Yeah. I Saw Three Ships, O Come, Emmanuel, Silent Night with Night of Silence, Ding Dong Merrily on High, The Three Kings, Sans Day Carol, Personent Hody, Sussex Carol, Gaudet, In the Bleak Midwinter, Past 3 o'clock, and Run with a Fox.
Which we just talked about on our last episode because Alan White posted about that. And I gave my whole spiel about when that came out. Run with the Fox is, I have to admit, when you sent me this one, I skipped right to the and it's cool because it's an original Christmas song. Let's talk about that. It's
Right.
great to do all these traditional pieces that have been around for a couple thousand years, some of them a few hundred years, most of them, but okay, 200 years for a lot of them. But to do your own, I'm gonna write a Christmas song. What? Like, that's a pretty big pair of shoes to pull off the shelf and say you're gonna fill. Don't you agree, Steve? I mean, that's akin to saying it's 2022 and I'm gonna write a prog epic on scale with Close to the Edge that's 50 years old or 60 years old, 80 years old, whatever. You know, to say you're going to write an original Christmas song that no one knows, not that you hear at the shopping center, not that you hear at the salon, not that you hear when, you know what I mean? I think that takes some chutzpah, if you will.
Yeah, and Run with a Fox is such a bop, you know, it's so catchy. And like, you know, I didn't really realize until recently, like singing along to it, how just how great the words to it are.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like moving forward, and like just the singing is so good, and Alan is great on it.
And as we mentioned on the last episode, the most recent episode, how cool is it to have two versions of it?
Yeah,
with the instrumental.
Yeah, and so there are also some other interesting people on this album. Steve Hackett was on this.
Never heard of him.
Gerard Johnson, Jeremy Stacy, Jeremy Jackman.
Also Jeremy Stacy on drums. I think he did some. Didn't he do stuff on Chris's first solo album, Fish Out of Water? No? Is that all Bill Bruford and Alan? No.
Yeah, I think it was just Bill and Alan on
that. Where do I know Jeremy Stacy from? Did he do some stuff with Rick? I know that most of the stuff done with Rick was Tony Fernandez, but where do I know Jeremy Stacy? People are probably going shouting at the computer going, don't you know? What?
You know what it is? We, on our recent road trip, I had you listen to David Cross and Peter Banks's crossover album.
Yeah, and he's on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and also got Amy George on soprano voice and Laura Macara on vocals and the English Baroque Choir. So this definitely feels to me more like a traditional Christmas album than a solo album. Like, it does have rock elements. Like right away in the first track, you do hear the choir singing, and then it gets a bit rocking. There's even a moment that reminds me of the Heaven and Earth song "Believe Again" when it goes. So I kind of
Oh
wonder if
wow, yeah.
maybe that was repurposed knowingly or not.
What's the timeline? Well, obviously this came out. Swiss Choir came out before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
Um, yeah, and I love the renditions of Ding Dong Merrily on High and I Saw Three Ships. Like the vocals are just so rich on this. Like everyone's like it feels very in sync, and it's like like I don't know what I'm saying anymore, but it's just so beautifully done. You know, it's
Yeah.
so wintry, it's
It's
holidays.
more. What's the word? I know what you mean. It's done more in the spirit of. It's more verbatim. You know, it's more to honor what those pieces are rather than I'm going to put my own spin on all of them. You know,
Yeah,
which I think is cool.
yeah, and I love the cover of this where you got the instruments on a sled, and it feels
Right.
very Rankin Bass stop motion Christmas special to me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I kind of wonder if that was intentional or if they're like, oh, let's just throw this together.
Damn. This next one. Damn on a Christmas show. I sh- I should have pulled this out in a cabinet back there. I have this next one. Anything else on that though?
um, I mean, I'll just say that this album has been a traditional like annual listen for me over the last several years. Um, and when it ends with so past 3 o'clock feels like the end of the album, and then Run with a Fox feels like the equivalent of an encore at a concert. And it's
Oh
like
wow, yeah.
yeah, well, like I love that. I believe this is the same original track but with the choir and stuff added over it, if I'm
Right.
not mistaken.
Yeah, I agree.
And it just fits so well. Like it doesn't feel like it's of a different era. Yeah, it just fits, you know.
Yeah,
um
totally.
yeah, so do you have anything else to say about Swiss Choir before we move on
No,
to
no,
Three Ships?
I think that summed up really well.
Okay, because I have a lot I could say about Three Ships, so I'm just making sure that like,
Yeah.
you know, we
Clear the
talk.
runway.
Yeah.
You know, Three Ships I mentioned I have on vinyl. It's in the cabinet back there. I didn't think to get it out. A friend of so who would she be to you? A stepmother once removed? So the mother of your sisters who came before your mother, her best friend at the time bought me that album for Christmas. There you go. And I didn't know about it. So I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And then Marcy said, yeah, my friend Lucius is on that. I'm like, what? She had a friend named Lucius Jones, who was a piano player, composer. I'm like, what? Come on. It just didn't make sense. It didn't add up. And then one day we're watching MTV and around this time of year, and that song came up. And in the studio, there's Lucius, a young, great looking black man. And yes, my wife is black. We use the term black. Sorry, that's what we use. We're old school. And he was playing the piano. I'm like, there's Lucius. I'm like, what? Like, I have no idea still. I should ask Marcy. I don't remember how we got hooked up with that, but it was really a neat thing because here's Jon Anderson, who's been one of my favorite vocalists, songwriters, composers, ambassadors of the hippie era, on and on and on and on. And here's my friend Lucius that I just met playing piano in that video. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's funny. So would that be in the Three Ships music video, or easier
Yes.
said than done?
No, it is the Three Ships video.
Okay.
Yeah, which is my favorite song on the album, by the way, too.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I actually I didn't tell you this before. I didn't say beforehand that I was gonna talk about this, but I actually have a friend who was on one of the bonus tracks on the 22nd anniversary edition
Really?
of Three Ships. Yeah. Um So I'll get into that in a moment, but first off, let me read off the track list real quick
Okay.
for the 22nd anniversary edition from 2007, which I have on CD. So there's Give Hope, which was a bonus track, probably recorded in 2007. And then you got Save All Your Love, Easier Said Than Done, Three Ships, and another bonus track, Candle Song from the Change We Must album.
Well, wait, back up a step if you don't mind. Easier said than done. Vangelis is part of that, which is cool.
Yeah, yeah, and Trevor Rabin also performed on the Three Ships album.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
So when was the original recording?
1985.
Okay, so perfect timing. Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he got Forest of Fire, Ding Dong Merrily on High, another bonus track, Hurry Home, also from Change We Must, Save All Your Love, Reprise, The Holy and the Ivy, Day of Days, Of Verum, 2000 Years, Where Were You, Oh Holy Night. I should mention Of Verum was also a bonus track, but it's from Toltec.
Right.
Um,
John's Toltec album.
yeah, so How It Hits You, Jingle Bells, and then the final bonus track, Ray of Hope, which I vaguely remember. Well, the people on here, I can't remember his first name. Let me just look that up real quick. Let's see. Mike Marshall. I remember years ago on YouTube, I saw a comment from him saying that like this was recorded in like whatever year he said. And so like when I was trying to remember, I thought to myself, did he say 1990 or was it something else? But according to Wikipedia, it says 1991. In any case, like it was a long time ago, and John decided to include it in the 2007
Oh,
re-release.
that's
Um,
interesting.
yeah, so we'll delve into like some of these other tracks in a moment, but first, so the one that my friend was on was Give Hope.
Oh,
Um, yeah, and my friend, her name is Laura Rains. I know her from college.
oh, the banjo player.
No. Um, and yeah, I asked her about this and she like sent me a response so that I could read. She said the choir was Millican Middle School. It was either recorded in the 05-06 school year or 06-07. If I had to guess, it was probably 06-07, my 8th grade year, since I have a vague memory of it coming out the Christmas once I started high school, 2007. Each class period was assigned a certain line to sing. So that initial give hope so high, so high, so high was my class.
Oh,
Another class period sang give hope, another sang along with the verse, etc. We recorded in our choir classroom. I remember them bringing in all the microphones and recording equipment. It was pretty cool. We were all sitting on those awful metal folding chairs, so we had to make extra sure we didn't make any creaky noise for the recording. We never met yeah, that sounds really excruciating.
definitely. I wonder how
Yeah,
many takes they had to do just for the sake of the creeks.
right. She said, we never met him, unfortunately, but it was a lot of fun. We were also planning to be a backing choir for Jon Anderson for his take on Across the Universe by the Beatles, but that never ended up happening.
Oh,
You can absolutely. Okay. So she said I could mention this next part, which I vaguely remembered her telling me a long time ago. Um, so some of the kids in that choir were kind of laughing at the fact of singing so high and joking about like is this song about getting high or something like that. She said we couldn't get through the line without giggling for like a week. We were also like, we can say this at school without getting in trouble. That first line with all the note changes was also really tough for us to learn. My teacher had to draw out the line in music notation on the blackboard and go over how to sing it a bunch of times until we memorized it. We were like 12, so I'll give us all some slack. Um, she also mentioned that they also did Wondrous Stories. That was another song that puzzled us with the lyrics.
Oh,
But yeah,
wow.
most of the songs we sang were from the 60s, 70s. I guess these are songs they did like at the school at different parts of the year, or probably. But she says we also did another Brick in the Wall part 2, complete with stomping around the auditorium, like in the music video. A few Beatles songs, Simon and Garfunkel. We even recorded a song with Engelbert Humperdinck called Jerusalem.
Wow.
The the female soloist in that song was an 8th grader. It was pretty cool to get exposed to that music when I was otherwise wouldn't have at that age. So
Wait,
yeah,
is that the same Jerusalem that ELP did?
um,
Dun, 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 dun,
maybe like
dun,
was that
dun.
song like a traditional composition?
I think so. Yeah, they didn't
Uh,
write that, if I
yeah,
remember correctly.
maybe. Yeah, EOP has like at least a few songs that were like older,
Dennis
like classic
Darrow and
stuff.
people like
Yeah,
that did it. Yeah. Huh.
yeah,
Just curious.
yeah.
That's neat. I never knew this about that connection with you. Funny.
Yeah, I remember when we got this CD. Well, you got it for me like a year after it came out, and I remember we put the Three Ships CD in the car stereo while we were driving somewhere, and we heard like some like instrumental like piece, so, like someone on guitar, and you're like, "Huh, is that John playing?" And the whole thing, and I was like, "I guess," and then like when the piece ended, we heard you're listening to blah 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 radio or whatever it was. And we're like, oh, I guess we didn't play the CD yet.
That
uh,
particular album is special to me because it's actually not only because it's on vinyl and I've got the big artwork, but because it's actually the first Christmas related album compilation that I ever had. And being by a Yes member and by Jon on top of that, holds a very special place for me.
yeah. Whereas Chris's solo album felt to me more traditional than solo album, I kind of feel like John's feels like it leans more towards solo album than Christmas album.
Yeah, I
Because like
agree.
some of the songs feel very festive and Christmassy, and others come sort of out of the blue, I guess. Um,
Wait, Jon coming out of the blue? More
right.
like out of
So
the magenta.
right. So I'll give a quick rundown of my thoughts on the songs that were on the original album, if I may.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Save All Your Love is such a good, like, calming, festive sounding mantra. Like, it sounds very wintry when I listen to it. And, it's like, save all your love. And it's just holding on to the love that we receive and that we give, like holding on to those
Oh,
memories.
oh,
And easier said than done. Like you said, the one with Vangelis, that one is very catchy. The music
yeah.
video is very nice as well, and it's well, it also sounds festive to me because it's got like "Think of the season, so easy to reach." And it's got like very catchy singing on it,
Melody.
like
Yeah.
yeah, and helps by telling you why, helps by telling you, like I love singing along to that. And Three Ships, this is very different from the traditional
Yeah.
versions that we've talked about. It's more spacey, and that's even reflected in the music video. It's like it makes me think of lasers, like the do 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 do. It's just
So,
so out there, but so John.
so folks, please do not bang on me for this, but that's the first version I ever heard of that song.
Oh, me too. That I remember.
Yeah, because I was never exposed to Christmas music other than what's at the mall.
right.
You know,
Yeah, like I can't remember if I ever heard a traditional version at church before I heard this version, But like after hearing this version, like whenever I heard their traditional version, I'd be like, "Oh, it's that song, The Three Ships."
Right, right. You could hear it in there somewhere.
Yeah, it's kind of like being exposed to the song America through Yes, and then hearing the Simon and Garfunkel version. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, that's that song. Like,
right, exactly. Why are they
yeah.
doing it so differently?
Well, like I remember there was a commercial sometime within the past couple years that used some version of America. I don't know if it was Simon
Oh,
and
really?
Garfunkel, or I don't know if it was Simon and Garfunkel or a faithful cover of it. But I remember my brother Alex was like, "Oh, it's like that song
Wait, you have a
America that."
brother Alex?
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
What? And you couldn't tell? What was the commercial for?
No, I'm saying I think it was about cars or something. I'm saying I don't know if it was Simon and Garfunkel or someone else doing a faithful version.
Right.
Alex was like, "Oh, it's like that song by Yes or something."
Oh, wow,
Uh,
that's cool.
yeah. So other songs that were on the original Three Ships album include "Forest of Fire." This one feels very like it's like a sharp left turn. Like
Yeah.
it has like a bit of like tiny bits of festiveness in it, um
And then the
like
rest of it's like, why is it there?
like it's got all these nature sounds, and like it feels really like it gets heavy. And I don't know if anyone else does this, but what I love doing is I love playing this Forest of Fire and Fist of Fire by ABWH back to
Yeah,
back. Like I feel like they complement each other so well. Like it would make such a cool medley in a live setting if anyone tried that.
that's cool. And I like Ding Dong Merrily on High because that's when you promote the fact you're going to go Christmas caroling and you knock on doors. You do, but you pick out one house. You knock on the door. Everyone takes a dump on the porch, and you bolt. Sorry, just kidding.
um oh wow, I just got that. But yeah, it kind of catches one off guard because Force of Fire is doing its thing, and then all of a sudden,
There's a traditional piece.
ding
It's like,
dong, merrily on high, like right away. And but it's done so well. Like the vocal harmonies are good. It's catchy. And then you got that "Save All Your Love" reprise that closes that original first side of the album.
mhm.
And then, like in my opinion, I think the first few tracks on side B are a little bit of a dip. Like the songs are still good, but not like as like ear catching to me as some of the others. Like you got "The Holy and the Ivy," another traditional one. "Day of Days" kind of feels like an island song a bit. It kind of feels out of place compared to all this other stuff. 2000 years, it's very short, but it does feel somewhat festive. Like you got like the choir and whatnot. And then I feel like "Where Were You" is where it picks up again for me.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. "Where were you upon that night?" It's something that I can tap my foot to.
And
Um,
it's written by John. Like a lot of these, it's about, hold on, I'd say it's like half traditional songs and half
yeah.
things written by John
Yeah, it looks
or
like
collaborations.
a somewhat even split. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and I gotta say, this version of "Oh Holy Night" is probably my absolute favorite version of "Oh Holy Night" like ever. Um, you do have John singing on some of it, but you also have oh, I gotta look up her name real quick. It's "Oh Holy Night, the stars are brightly shining." Oh, Sandra Crouch. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
She does such a great job, when she does the "fall on your knees," and like I applaud John for letting her get the spotlight for that section because she does it so well. And like here's a funny thing that I discovered back in the 80s, she also did a song called Completely Yes. Eh,
Really?
yeah, it's of the gospel genre, so it's about praising God and whatnot. But I just found that kind of funny that she did a song with yes in the title, like around that era.
Yeah, that is
Uh,
fun.
yeah, and then we got How It Hits You, which acts as sort of a finale, and toward the end even brings back bits of like Ding Dong Merrily on High, so kind of bringing it full circle. And then you have Jingle Bells, which features Jade Anderson and um I, I can't
That's a
remember.
deep cut.
Yeah, it might feature Deborah as well, possibly.
Oh,
um
interesting.
um Yeah, because on this article it lists her as like being related to this, but I only see Jade Anderson listed. Um, but anyway, like I know Deborah has been on several Jon Anderson projects at least. I think it's cool that he has his daughters like do these like backing vocal
Yeah.
things. So yeah, Jingle Bells I think it was a cute way to end the album. But did you have anything else to say about any of these before we talk about the bonus tracks?
No, no, I think you summed it up really nicely. It's a great album. And like we said, it's a 50-50 mix of traditional stuff and John's own original. And like I said, it takes a lot of, you know what, to write a Christmas song. I mean, and he gets
Yeah.
away with it beautifully. Absolutely.
Yeah. So regarding the bonus tracks, Give Hope, I feel is an amazing opener. Um it like Save All Your Love, it has a festive feel, but it makes
Yeah.
you think even more of like snowing. I think because of like it kind of sounds like bell sounds and stuff, and
And what
it's just
constitutes these as bonus tracks? They came later, they weren't previously released. What's or
yeah, like
remastered or
yeah, they were added to the 2007 re-release.
re-release? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that one was made around 2007, so that one was recent at that time. And then you have the Change We Must tracks, Candle Song and Hurry Home. Um, do you think these kind of fit with the overall theme,
I
or
do. Yeah. Yeah. I do you or no?
yeah, I think they do.
Okay.
Like, well, maybe Candle Song a bit less so. Like, it feels more to me like a romantic song, but I know that candles can be associated with wintertime, especially in the old days.
Yeah.
Hurry Home, I guess, is a bit more in line with the theme because people associate the holidays with home.
Right.
And again, like that Change We Must album has great orchestration on it, like how he reinterpreted these songs. Because I think Candle Song was originally a John and Vangelis song, and Hurry Home was originally on his pop solo album In the City of Angels, and so he like reworked those. And Off Verum from Toltec, it feels very like it's not as proggy as the rest of the Toltec album, so it feels more it doesn't feel so out of place here because it's
Right.
yeah, there's like not as much going on. It's just John singing his heart out,
Right.
like almost like singing out to the stars and whatnot. Um, so yeah, like those are really good songs. It's just kind of odd to me that like he has these songs that were already on other albums and decides, oh, these would be good on Three Ships. Um, and then the last one, Ray of Hope, from 1991, apparently, like I absolutely love that song. I know all the lyrics to it, and it just gives that hopeful feeling, and it's so relatable in the way that it asks those questions like uh why is there still hunger and fear in the world despite like and it's like there has to be a reason for heartache and despair. And once we find that reason, it's something we can share. It's a search and a hope that everyone will like come together in a sort of like unifying time. Like Ray of Hope is a very personal song to me. I remember back in college, like there were nights where I would be walking alone and sort of feeling isolated, depending on stuff that was like taking place on the time, and I would like sing this to myself to like lift my spirits. And it's the music to it is so good. It has kind of a so long ago, so clear feel to me. That song he did with
Yeah.
Vangelis in the mid 70s.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So another question I have about these bonus tracks is, do you think any of them are quote unquote essential to the three ships listening experience? And do you think there are some that aren't as much?
So I don't think any of them are essential to it, but I love bonus tracks. I love stuff that comes out later that kind of broadens the catalog of that piece of work. And that's to me what these do.
Okay. Yeah, so in my opinion, I feel that Give Hope and Ray of Hope, they add like, Three Ships already stands well on its own,
Right.
but I feel like adding Give Hope and Ray of Hope enhances the experience for me. Like to me, they feel essential and it feels very full circle.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and while I do love the three other bonus tracks, but I feel like I could maybe take them or leave them while listening to the album. But when I do listen to the album, it's like I have to include Give Hope and Ray of Hope. You know,
Okay.
yeah.
That's
But
good.
if I'm
Yeah.
listening to the actual CD, like I'll listen to all the songs. So yeah.
Cool.
Um,
Let's move on to fan comments. Is that okay?
yeah, let's do that.
Okay, I'm going to read some fan comments. Thanks always for writing in or commenting on posts. You're a part of this show as much as we are. Well, maybe we're a little bit more, but you know what I mean. Merry Christmas. So let's see. The first one's from David Amos. He says, Swiss choir is a music tradition for us, a must do. Start the holiday on the right foot. That's great. Thanks, David. Nick Smith says, Three Ships and Wakeman's portraits are my favorites. Awesome. Thank you, Nick. And Stephen Genel, I believe, Gennel, Stephen Genel.
It could be Genel.
No, it's Genel.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
kidding. No, I don't know. Thank you, Stephen. He says, I always play Run with the Fox by Squire. Let's not forget Ellen White. Yeah,
Right.
it's a great piece. And I love that it's the original that's on there. Great stuff, folks. Thanks for chiming in. You can always chime in via email, via comments on the posts where comments are enabled, like on Facebook. Our email is yesshiftpodcast@gmail.com. And the Facebook page is facebook.com/yesshift. And we're on Anchor, where you might be hearing us on audio. Oh, the muffins are ready. Go ahead and tell them about Anchor, Steve.
Yeah, you can also find our episodes, like the audio version, at anchor.fm/yesshift. And you can see all the different podcasting platforms we're on. And yeah, like I gotta say, like this has been quite the year. We started actually releasing episodes in July, and it's been almost half a year. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, like there have been like some, well, we enjoy all the episodes we do, but like there have been like some really fun things to talk about, and it's wild that we've recorded so much like within
this is episode 27, and we've done 8 news desk episodes aside from that. So rounding out the year 2021, Steve, what episode sticks out in your mind the most so far, other than this one being that we're doing it? Like what else?
Do I have to choose just one?
One. You get one. Going for the one. What's the first one that comes to mind?
Well, there are like 3 that come to mind.
Okay, 3. Give us 3.
So This one's like really recent, the Mike Tiano interview, because you know we've had friends on the show like Mike Blanco and Byron, but this was our first time talking with someone about their new album and talking about like Yes related stuff they were
Yeah,
involved with.
their interaction. You have someone from the Yes verse.
Yeah, and another one that came to mind is our review of The Quest. That one was pretty lengthy and for good reason. And, you know, all the hype with, you know, finally another Yes album and getting to
And
talk about
Division.
it. Yeah. And, you know, dissecting the songs, it's not often we get to do that with new Yes music.
No,
Um,
it's not.
and I also loved the what if episode where we talked about what would it have been like if um if instead of Union happening they had gone with someone else like Billy Sherwood or like
Ooh.
Roger Hodgson, and you know what would the album have been like with the songs that we knew were that Yes West were working on at the time. Like that was a really fun discussion.
Yeah, wow, I forgot about that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
for me, it's funny. It's not an official Yes musician member. I think my I don't want to say favorite, but the episode that sticks out the most for me is Roger Dean's. And I think,
Oh yes.
yeah, I think the reason why is because we we got so much fan interaction. And so,
Yeah.
you posted on our Facebook page, give us your top three works by Roger Dean. And what I was really pleased by was how many shout outs his work got that were not Yes related. You had Uriah
Yeah.
Heep, you had Greenslade, Glass Hammer, it goes on and on, plus his own, works. I really loved that episode. I think 33 pieces of art that were featured in the video version, which is on our Facebook page.
And it's
That
not all of his work.
Oh, that's right. That's right. There's a couple of things that weren't. I really enjoyed that episode for so many reasons. I've enjoyed all of them. But folks, thank you for supporting us. And you can buy us a cup of coffee on Anchor. If you go to Anchor, it is monetized, and we'd love just a little tip. If you enjoy what we're doing, support us. This is a passion project for Steve and I. We're both very busy. I own two companies, Drum Talk TV, the world's largest media company covering the world of drumming, larger than all the others combined, Modern Drummer Drum Channel, on and on and on. Nothing against them. We've collaborated with them. And I have a marketing training company, and Stephen works with both those companies too. So Steve and I do this out of the love of Yes, to talk about it, just like you do in the comments of our posts and the different Yes groups we all belong to. So please support us any way you can, even if it's just cheering us on. That's fine. And happy holidays. Stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy, and please stay nice.
Yeah, definitely. Happy holidays, and listen to all the holiday music you want
Especially if it's from the list we just gave you. Thanks.
to.